is Lacey. I am the dietitian and a cycling coach here at FasCat Coaching, and I'm excited to let you guys know that this is the first of many nutrition-related videos that I'm going to be bringing you. In the future, we'll cover some really nitty-gritty topics, but for now, we're going to focus on the three main nutrition topics that every endurance athlete should know about, and that is what to eat before, during, and after you ride in order to optimize your performance and your recovery. Clearly, based on the title of this video, here we're going to cover pre-ride nutrition, and by that I mean what to eat, when to eat it, and how much to eat it before you train. A quick note before we jump in though, I do want to say that the answer to all three of these questions is really individualistic. It depends on what intensity of training you're doing, how long you're training, whether you can eat on the bike and tolerate it well, and as well as how much you can tolerate before you train. So with that said, let's jump on in. So the first question to answer is, what should I eat? Well, I can assure you, despite the fact that everyone has been jumping on the low-carb bandwagon these days, that no races will be won and no peak performances will be set by following a low-carb diet. Sure, sedentary individuals can get by, and some even do well following a low-carb diet, but you're not looking to get by. You're an endurance athlete. You want to perform, you want to recover, and you want to be able to do it all again the next day. And for that, carbs reign king. So with that said, you can assume that I'm going to tell you that the focus of your pre-ride meal should be carbohydrates. And when I say carbohydrates, I'm meaning things like oats and rice and fruits, some vegetables, some maple syrup. All these are great sources of carbohydrates. Now, carbohydrates can contain fiber. Some have more than others, and those that have more, things like whole grain oats or like brown rice or like vegetables, so say you do one of Frake's favorite breakfasts, which is like the rice and eggs that has broccoli in there, those should be eaten further out because they have more fiber. Fiber slows down your digestion, and you don't want to eat too much of it too close because then you risk getting gut rot, which I'm pretty sure we've all experienced, and it's not fun. So the closer you get to your ride, the less fiber you should have. So say if you're an hour out, eat something, don't have broccoli, like have something like a plain tortilla with some peanut butter and honey, or like a rice cake, for example. Those are going to be easier to digest. Now, next question is when to eat. And again, like I said earlier, this is going to depend on the duration and intensity of your training. So we're going to touch on that again in a second, but just know that it really depends on your goals for your training session. So now is the big question of how much to eat. And this is going to, again, depend on when you're eating. So the recommendations range anywhere from 4 grams per kilogram of, or 4 grams of carbohydrates per kilogram of body weight if you're eating 4 hours out, up to, or down to 1 gram per kilogram of carbohydrates per kilogram, 1 gram of carbs per kilogram of body weight in the hour out before training. So I know this is probably a lot of numbers. I have a chart right here that kind of summarizes what I just said. So 1 hour out, you can have up to a gram, and then a gram per kilogram, and then 4 hours out, you can have up to 4 grams per kilogram. Here, I kind of give a little bit of a range, and the reason for that is, again, if you're doing a lower intensity, you're not going to need as much. And then also for females, we burn a little bit less carbs and rely more on fats than our male counterparts do, even at the same fitness level, as well as the fact that us females need less calories overall. So if you're a female, just aim for the lower end of these recommendations. Now, I know you're probably like, Lacey, oh my gosh, this is so many numbers, there's a range, I don't know what to do, like how is this going to make me ride faster? Well, don't worry, I'm not going to leave you hanging. We're going to jump into some real life examples that will help you learn how to apply these for your own training. In these examples, I'm going to use a 140-pound athlete, and that translates out to 63.5 kilograms. So any of you out there who are not using the metric system, simply just take your weight in pounds and divide it by 2.2, and that's going to give you your weight in kilograms. And then you can use this chart. So let's jump on into those examples. All right, so our first example is going to be when that athlete needs to eat 4 hours out, and that would be for something like a big race or a multi-day event such as, I don't know, a 5-day backpacking trip or bike packing trip where they're going to be riding 5 to 7 hours a day. And again, they need to aim for around 4 grams per kilogram of body weight. And they can do that by having 3/4 cup of whole grain pancake mix with, say, a 1/4 cup of maple syrup and a banana. And then 90 minutes out from the start, or 2 hours around there, could have 2 rice cakes topped with some honey or jam, and then sip on a scoop of Guroctane before the start. That would put them at around 230 grams of carbs total, or roughly 3.7 grams per kilogram of body weight, which is perfect. Next, that same athlete could be doing, say, a weekend group ride. They're not going to be getting up 4 hours early because sleep is important for their recovery too and their performance. So they're going to wake up, say it's 10 a.m. group ride, they wake up at 6:30, they're going to eat at 7. They'll have a cup of oats with a tablespoon of honey and a banana, and then a cup of orange juice or 8 ounces of orange juice on the side. Then, say an hour and a half out, they'll just top off with the rice cakes and a little bit of jam or honey, like we said in the previous example. This will bring them to about 177 grams of carbs total, or 2.75 grams per kilogram of body weight. Now, our next example is going to be that athlete, and say this time they have an hour and a half or 2 hour sweet spot ride that they need to get accomplished before work. They're going to wake up early enough to have something to eat 2 hours out, or maybe they're even doing it in the afternoon and they can eat while they're at work and then head off to go train. In this case, they should aim for around 2 grams per kilogram of body weight, and they could do this if it's in the morning. This is a breakfast example. They could have 3/4 cup of oats and sweeten that with a tablespoon of honey, add a sliced banana on top and a little bit of nuts, and then about an hour out have a scoop of the Guroctane or other hydration mix, or even some juice, just to sip on before they start. And in that case, that brings them to around 116 grams of carbohydrates, or 1.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. Now, the final example is going to be the one that is most commonly asked about, and that's like, what do I eat right before my ride? Like, I'm a dad, I'm a mom, I work a full-time job, I'm waking up at the crack of dawn, I don't have time really to get up any earlier to eat. In this case, it's, like I was saying earlier, it really is like individualistic. It depends on how you tolerate things. Some athletes find that having a small snack of, say, like 30 grams of carbohydrates that's like super easily digestible helps them and they feel better. They're not like hangry while they're riding, and they feel better overall. Other athletes say that it negatively impacts their performance, and this is a topic I can also get into in another video because it has to do with likely they're eating the wrong things, or they're just eating too much and their insulin spikes while they're riding and leaves them feeling bonky. Again, super like detailed topic, but here the athlete has 2 options. They can either eat like 30 grams of easily digestible carbs, or they can rely solely on eating some carbs on the bike to fuel their training. So if they do choose to eat before, they could do something as simple as like a small smoothie, or a half cup of oat milk and a cup of grapes before they run out the door. So 2 options there. That's really left to the athlete to decide what works best for them. And speaking of fueling during your rides, any athlete doing a ride longer than, say, 60 to 75 minutes should be fueling on the bike. Which brings me to our next topic, which will be on the bike nutrition or during ride nutrition. So I'll save talking about that until then. If you have any questions on pre-ride nutrition that I did not cover in this video, feel free to drop them in the comments below and I will gladly answer them. And until then, I will see you guys next time.